What's interesting, however, is the volatility indexes, though, because they are in a new regime and they are causing us a little bit of consternation, if not caution. So the VIX, was up again. When the VIX is up, that's not a good thing. I mean, people are getting nervous. It was up 1.20, up 8.2%. It's now at 15.80. That's a high number, considering we were in fives to tens just a few months ago. The VXN, which is volatility index for the NASDAQ, it was up 0.23 points, up 1.7%. It's now at 17.57, another high number. And the RVX, which is the volatility index for the Russell 2000, was down 0.49 points, and it was down 0.296%, but it's also at a higher number at 16.04. So it's still time for caution. I'd like to invite you into a conversation because, maybe you're not sure if you've done enough financially, saved enough money, or invested enough and to get where you want to go financially. Maybe you've got a really complex financial situation with accounts all over the place, and perhaps you just need an expert to help you with your financial planning, so you can get back to doing the things you love instead of worrying about the market ups and downs. If any of those situations sound like you, then I'm extending an invitation to you to talk, have a brief 10-minute conversation to see if a free financial planning session is right for you. So give me a call at 310-777-6777 or send me an email at donald@f3assetmanagement.com. And we'll see if getting you started on the financial straight and narrow is just the thing you need. So give me a call, 310-777-6777. Like I said, fourth week of Lent. How's your Lent going? I'm still working on being gentle and slow to anger, and I'm making progress. I'm not perfect at it. Oh, by any means. They were testing. We had testing the alarms in our building today. Trust me, that slow to anger was starting to wear on a thin edge. But 40 days in the desert, if Jesus could do it, he's going to give me the strength to do it. I only got 2 more weeks until Easter. So, by the power and mercy of God, I am going to be a better person when we're all through. And, hey, you remember last week I was talking about the first step in financial planning is get right with God. And you might have said, what are you talking about, brother? But I had a conversation with Bishop David O'Connell, and he said that's what they taught their families in the inner city that were struggling financially, to get right with God, and things would start to turn around because it just makes you a better person. You will better become a better worker, a better family member, a better husband, better wife, better child. I mean, it just works wonders. So get yourself right with God. But if me and Bishop David O'Connell wasn't confirmation enough, I've got another confirmation for you, and we're going to hear from him right now.
Put God first. Put God first in everything you do. Everything that you think you see in me, everything that I've accomplished, everything that you think I have, and I have a few things, everything that I have is by the grace of God. Understand that. It's a gift. I've been protected. I've been directed. I've been corrected. I've kept God in my life, and it's kept me humble. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me. So stick with him in everything you do. If you think you want to do what you think I've done, then do what I've done. And stick with God. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I don't care how much money you make, you can't take it with you. And it's not how much you have. It's what you do with what you have. We all have different talents. Some of you will be doctors, some lawyers, some scientists, some educators, some nurses, some teachers. Yeah, okay. Some preachers. The most selfish thing you can do in this world is help someone else. Why is it selfish? Because the gratification, the goodness that comes to you, the good feeling that I get from helping others, nothing's better than that. Not jewelry, not the big house I have, not the cars, but it's the joy. That's where the joy is, in helping others. That's where the success is. Say thank you for grace Thank you for mercy. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you for parents. Thank you for love. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for humility. Thank you for peace. Thank you for prosperity. Say thank you in advance for what's already yours. It's how I live my life. That's why I am. One of the reasons why I am today. Say thank you in advance for what is already yours. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already. I'll say it again. True desire in the heart, that itch that you have, whatever it is you want to do, that thing that you want to do to help others and to grow and to make money, that desire, that itch, that's God's proof to you, sent beforehand already to indicate that it's yours. And anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Each one, teach one. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
That's it, brothers and sisters. I bet you recognize that voice. That was Academy Award-winning actor Denzel Washington. He was speaking at Dillard University in 2015, and his message to all those graduates was to put God first. Oh, man, putting God first in everything you do doesn't guarantee your success in the way you want it, I will add, but it surely does guarantee you success in the way God wants it. Oh, man, that's such a great, great little piece right there. St. Augustine said something very similar to that. He said, love God and then do what you will. And because when you love God with all your heart, mind, body, soul, man, you are on the track to becoming what we've been talking about for a few weeks now, closer to God, to developing union with God. And in terms of the finances, God asks us to test him. He asks to test his faithfulness with our own faithfulness. Malachi 3:10, bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will be not room enough to store it. But remember this, the blessing is the Lord's, and he gives his goodness in the way that's best for us. This is Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. We'll be right back.
NBC Talk Radio, 1050 AM.
Donald Carpenter here. I'm the host of the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show Mondays at 3 o'clock. You know the number one reason married couples fight? Money. The number one lesson people wish they'd learn in school? Money. Listen, I've got over 20 years of experience in asset management and financial planning. Together, we can make the most of the money you make. We can take care of you and your family's finances. We can teach you how to build and strengthen a family financial fortress that can help protect you for years to come. We'll help you do it. Give me a call, 310-777-6777, and we'll help you manage these volatile markets and make better choices for your family's financial future. Call me, 310-777-6777, or shoot me an email, donald@f3assetmanagement.com. And don't forget to catch the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show Mondays at 3 o'clock on KCAA Radio.
Some combinations were just meant to go together. Chips and salsa, refrigerator and freezer, the internet, and those cute little cat videos. At State Farm, there's another combination meant to go together, home and auto, as in combining your home and auto insurance with one agent, which leads to another combination, saving dollars and cents. Your State Farm agent, the DeSalvo Insurance Agency, is here to help life go right. Combine home and auto and see how much you can save. For more information, call the DeSalvo Insurance Agency at 310-553-0241 in Beverly Hills, or find him on the web at BillDeSalvo.com. That's BILLDISALVO.com.
Hi, this is Donald Carpenter. I've written a pretty interesting book. It's called The Family Man's Stock Market Volatility Survival Guide, How to Defend Your Family in Any Economy. To pick up a copy of The Family Man's Stock Market Volatility Survival Guide, go to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or the website FamilyManSMBSG.com. Dr. Tatsuo Hirano asks, why suffer and ignore your pain and illness? Stop it before it gets out of control. Acupuncture is like fresh air, revitalizing your body and mind. Dr. Tatsuo Hirano, renowned acupuncturist to the stars and world-class performing artists, will help you get back to optimum health. To explore the healing arts of Oriental medicine, call Dr. Hirano at 818-244-2287. The first 20 callers will receive 10% off their first visit. Just say Donald Carpenter sent you.
Berndorf Law Offices, located in Los Angeles, is an employment, counseling, and litigation boutique law firm for California employers and executives. Employment laws change almost daily, and penalties for noncompliance are substantial. If you're an employer in Southern California and need assistance navigating the waters of employee relations, legal aspects of human resources management, or need defense against a lawsuit, our lawyers can help. Find us on the web at berndorflaw.com. That's BIRNDORFLAW.com. Or on Twitter at Law4CA Employers.
Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. Man, wasn't that Denzel Washington clip phenomenal? Boy, that was so inspiring. I love that guy. I had the good fortune of meeting him once in person. He was really funny and a really nice guy. Hey, so what have we been talking about? Oh yeah, union with God. I've been going on for weeks about that, which is really great because it's something we all need to do. And sometimes it can be a little confusing how to get it done. Because why? We have our own will, we have our own desires, we have our own wants, and we always try to put those first. It's like you go to a doctor. And you're sick, you got a problem, you go to the doctor, and the first thing you do is you start telling them how to treat you and what to do and how to handle it and how to do the surgery and what to recommend and what medicine. You start telling them all that, right? No, you don't. Well, we do that with God. It's like, well, I want this, I want that, I want that. It's like we think God's Santa Claus. No, come on. You got to find union with God by submitting to His will and just accepting what He wants for you, because it's going to be the best. I got the whole shows about this. I'm going to tell you a lot about that. The second step in financial success is what I call breaking free from slavery. And what do I mean by that? Well, the first step is getting right with God, putting God first, as Denzel Washington says. And the second step is breaking free from slavery, addictions and stuff, addictions to stuff like impulse buying or social media, credit cards, keeping up with the Joneses, having, stuff that you can flaunt around and be proud of, online addictions, video games, pornography. We've talked about all that nonsense before. Addiction to, how about this, the champagne appetite and the beer can pocketbook. A lot of us have suffered from that, and some still do. Champagne appetite, beer can pocketbook. We dream of the Ferrari and driving around in the Jetta. But, you might have guessed it. Steps 1 and 2 go hand in hand. But listen to me. If you truly seek the Lord, God gives you the discipline and the grace to get the job done. You just have to be willing to do what He wants you to do. And so part of that is me inviting you into a conversation like I did in the first segment. And if your finances are scattered all around and you're not sure if you're on the right track and, you just want a little more simplicity in your life, give me a call and we'll see if a 10-minute conversation is right for you to have a free financial planning session. I'll just do one session for free. And if it's great, we'll work together. 310-777-6777 or send me an email, donald@f3assetmanagement.com. And we'll do everything we can to get you on the financial straight and narrow. So I was reading in the Bible, Hosea 6:1-6. Come, let us return to the Lord. He has torn us to pieces, but He will heal us. He has injured us, but he will bind up our wounds. After 2 days he will revive us. On the third day he will restore us, that we may live in his presence. Let us acknowledge the Lord. Let us press on to acknowledge him. As surely as the sun rises, he will appear. He will come to us like winter rains, like the spring rains that water the earth. So there it is. God corrects us. He lets us suffer. I mean, Jesus said, in this world we will have trouble, but do not fear, for I have overcome the world. This kind of reminds me of a cool conversation I had on Friday night in the grocery store line. I was there getting a few things. You know, I had a long work week, and my wife was very hardworking. Well, that lady works really hard. And I was standing in line, and I don't know if you're like me, but I always try to find the shortest line possible. So I'll look at all of them before I pick one. Sometimes I miss out because it's short and somebody else gets there while I'm looking at another one. But I go through, I look at all of them, and then I go for the shortest one. Well, I found the short one, and I was right there, and there was a guy standing in front of me, and he was a little bit different. I was dressed in a brown suit, and he had orange hair in a shag haircut with bangs, and he was a lot younger than me. But he was really polite. He moved his stuff forward on the conveyor and put the little, divider down and said, "Here's some room for you, sir." And I was like, "Wow, well, thank you very much. Appreciate that." And he was checking out my groceries, and I was getting some cheese and some artisan crackers and a little rosé for my wife. We were going to have a little picnic that night. And he was saying, "Oh, that's, really interesting." So I was explaining, well, we were going to have a little picnic. And, "Oh, well, what do you do?" And so I told him our career paths, and he's like, "Wow, that's really good." I said, "Listen, we are working really hard, and we're just going to relax tonight." And he says, "Well, can I ask you something?" I said, "What's that?" He goes, Can you give me some advice?" And then he just looked at me, and I said, "Well, advice on what?" And he goes, "Well, I don't know, life, I guess." And I said, to myself, I said, "I'm in this line for a reason." But to him, I said, "Well, there are two things that have always done well for me. One is to work hard. Always work as hard as you can. Two is to stay close to God." I said, and I haven't always stayed as close to God as I should, I told him. But those two things have always gotten me out of trouble, and they've also kept me from getting in trouble the way I should, the way I could have. It could have been worse. So those two things I recommend to everybody. Stay close to God and work as hard as you can. It's pretty funny because he shook my hand. He grabbed me, and he told me his name, and he shook my hand. He said, "Thank you so much." He goes, "That's really good advice." And it was like the first time he'd ever heard that. And I'm like, man, I'm glad I got to say that to him because. And then I said, I'm going to tell you one more thing because I don't know why, but we just had the time to do it. And I said, when I was in high school, I was a rebel. I was quite a high school little rebel, kind of a little punk. And I didn't go to class very often. And I had when I graduated, you guys are going to laugh your heads off when I tell you this, but when I graduated from high school, I had a 1.67 GPA. When I went to college, I going to go to, apply. They said, "Did you even graduate from high school?" And I go, "Yeah, I graduated." I was really happy. One of my high school teachers told me that I could get out early if I took night classes. Man, I took 5 night classes, day classes. I got the best grades ever. I got 5 A's and a B plus. Because I knew I could get out early. But it wasn't long after that I needed to get a job. And so I'm like, well, I got 5 A's and a B plus. I'm going to go and get a job as a manager of a store somewhere. And lo and behold, there was a shoe store that was looking for managers. So I went and applied. And I guess I was pretty charming back at the time because the guy says, "You know what?" He goes, "You've got this job. This is fantastic. I'm glad you walked in the door. It's just a matter of taking a little small, really easy math test, and you'll be just fine. And then we'll get you all signed up and ready to go." And I said, "Okay, great. I can do a math test. I'm smart I'm smart." So I sat down knowing I had this job, took the math test, simple baby math, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, fractions, and decimals, and division. I think I said that. And, I failed it so miserably. I couldn't do any of it. I couldn't do baby math after 12 years of high school, 12 years of school, 4 years of high school. I couldn't do baby math. And I was I was embarrassed. I was mortified. I was humbled. I was sweating. My face was sweating. My armpits were sweating. My whole body. I was just so terrified and mortified and embarrassed. And you know what I did? I went and took a baby math class in junior college. And man, I learned to multiply, divide, add, and subtract all over again, fractions and decimals. And man, step by step, you know what I ended up doing? I ended up becoming a math major. I got straight A's all the way into calculus. That's how far I went with that. And I was determined. I've learned two things from that experience. One, that I wasn't stupid. I was actually kind of smart. And two, that I could learn something and accomplish a thing or two. And I was pretty shocked by that. I was just like, because, I didn't know. I didn't apply myself. I thought I was cocky. I thought I was it, that I was really a smart guy. Took a baby math test, man, failed it miserably. So I told this guy standing in line this whole story, probably just like I told you right now. And he was like, man, he goes, that's so inspiring. And he really appreciated it. But the point is that the two things that have always gotten me out of trouble and have always kept me from getting into more trouble are the two things that I'll recommend to you. And that is stay close to God, work as hard as you can, because when I was turned into a math major by accident, I was working my tail off, and worked out pretty well. I mean, I learned a few things about myself. And then there's a third one that I would add to that I didn't actually tell him, but maybe if he's listening, he'll catch it. The third one is don't look over your shoulder. Keep going straight ahead. Focus on your goals, extremely intense focus, and don't keep looking over your shoulder. Don't look to the guy next to you. Don't look to the girl to the left or the right. Don't look at anything but your goal, where it is in front of you and down the road, because you don't care how you measure up to anybody else. You don't care how it looks to other people. You don't care what other people think about your progress you're making. What you care about is that you're working as hard as you can and that you're staying close to God. And that's the whole point of this show. So if at some point in your life you think maybe, you need some help with that, you know how to get a hold of me. You can call me, 310-777-677. Or you can listen to our podcast. You can buy my book. I mean, I'm talking about this stuff all the time with you and my clients and my family. And I just wanted to, talk about how I became a math major, because I'm an accidental math major. It started by not even being able to do baby math, and I was mortified and embarrassed. But like it says in Hosea, the Lord brings us low. He brings us down. He lets us suffer. And then he raises us right back up. And he gave me that opportunity, and he gave me that chance. And I did pretty well in the area of mathematics from that point forward. Donald Carpenter, the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. Will be right back.
NBC Talk Radio, 1050 AM.
Donald Carpenter here. I'm the host of the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show, Mondays at 3 o'clock. You know the number one reason married couples fight? Money. The number one lesson people wish they'd learned in school? Money. Listen, I've got over 20 years of experience in asset management and financial planning. Together, we can make the most of the money you make. We can take care of you and your family's finances. We can teach you how to build and strengthen a family financial fortress that can help protect you for years to come. We'll help you do it. Give me a call, 310-777-6777, and we'll help you manage these volatile markets and make better choices for your family's financial future. Call me, 310-777-6777, or shoot me an email, donald@f3assetmanagement.com. And don't forget to catch the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show Mondays at 3 o'clock on KCAA Radio.
Some combinations were just meant to go together. Chips and salsa, refrigerator and freezer, the internet, and those cute little cat videos. At State Farm, there's another combination meant to go together. Home and auto. As in combining your home and auto insurance with one agent. Which leads to another combination, saving dollars and cents. Your State Farm agent, the DeSalvo Insurance Agency, is here to help life go right. Combine home and auto and see how much you can save. For more information, call the DeSalvo Insurance Agency at 310-553-0241 in Beverly Hills, or find him on the web at BillDeSalvo.com. That's BILLDISALVO.com.
Hi, this is Donald Carpenter. You know, I've written a pretty interesting book. It's called The Family Man's Stock Market Volatility Survival Guide, How to Defend Your Family in Any Economy. To pick up a copy of The Family Man's Stock Market Volatility Survival Guide, go to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or the website FamilyManSMBSG.com.
Berndorf Law Offices, located in Los Angeles, is an employment, counseling, and litigation boutique law firm for California employers and executives. Employment laws change almost daily, and penalties for noncompliance are substantial. If you're an employer in Southern California and need assistance navigating the waters of employee relations, legal aspects of human resources management, or need defense against a lawsuit, our lawyers can help. Find us on the web at berndorflaw.com. That's BIRNDORFLAW.com. Or on Twitter at Law4CA Employers.
Dr. Tatsuo Hirano asks, why suffer and ignore your pain and illness? Stop it before it gets out of control. Acupuncture is like fresh air, revitalizing your body and mind. Dr. Tatsuo Hirano, renowned acupuncturist to the stars and world-class performing artists, will help you get back to optimum health. To explore the healing arts of Oriental medicine, call Dr. Hirano at 818-244-2287. The first 20 callers will receive 10% off their first visit. Just say Donald Carpenter sent you. Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. Oh, I'm so glad you're here today. That's fantastic. Well, welcome. Oh, man, I'm having a great time, too. So, hey, we're at the third segment of the show. Got a couple questions for you. Have you ever heard of Megan Phelps Roper? You have any idea who she is? I know, but I have another name that you're going to know who it is. Have you ever heard of the Westboro Baptist Church? The Westboro Baptist Church has made quite a few headlines over the last few years, standing at funerals and protesting in street corners with the most horrific signs you could ever imagine, you know, kill gays and gays deserve death. And anyway, Megan Phelps Roper was one of their members. Matter of fact, she started with the Westboro Baptist Church when she was 5 years old, and she got her face on all kinds of print media and television. She referred to herself as a blue-eyed, chubby-cheeked protester holding a sign that she couldn't yet read that said, "Gays are worthy of death." And she said that was just the beginning. And she said the end of her time at Westboro Baptist Church came when she discovered the power of engaging the other. She said that the world in the Westboro Baptist Church community was essentially us versus them. She was with the good guys, and everyone else was evil. Her purpose was to tell people how unclean they were and how they were headed for damnation. And then something happened. She began having conversations with people on Twitter, and she said they would start hostile, but she would respond in a funny way, sometimes with little emojis of a smiley face and a Bible quote and some cultural reference. And they would be a little caught off guard, and it would cause people to sort of talk to one another instead of just shouting, I guess, capital letters on Twitter. And she started a conversation with a guy named David, and he wrote the blog called Jewlicious. And she said, strangely, after talking with David and reading some of his blog on Jewlicious, that she began to see others as human and recognize that others were starting to see her as human too, because before it was just me and my group and you, the enemy. The conversations were no longer screaming matches, and that led her to see that the church may have some, that she was in, the Westboro Baptist Church, may have some things that weren't quite right with it. Like, for instance, how could the church advocate the death penalty for gays when Jesus was teaching people that he who is without sin, let him cast the first stones. Here she is judging, but hearing from the Bible that, maybe that's not exactly the way we should be conducting ourselves. Or that if you're really, truly loving your neighbor as yourself, the way Jesus has taught us from the Hebrew Bible, excuse me, why was she praying for them to be destroyed by God? And so she began to see others not as demons, but as who they truly were. She began to see herself and the church as not the sole arbiters of truth, but as flawed human beings too. And once she began to see that, she knew she could no longer stay. So her first instinct, she was in her 20s by then, her first instinct was to hide from her family who she knew would judge her and would never speak to her again, but also to hide from the people that she had antagonized for those 20 years. But to her surprise, she was embraced with open arms as she tried to build a new life, and she was also surprised that she was being offered forgiveness and the benefit of the doubt. She even spent some time in Jewish communities in Los Angeles. She even spent a time with a rabbi and his wife and 4 children who just 3 years prior she was protesting with a sign that read, "Your rabbi is a whore." She was relieved to finally let go of harsh judgments and condemnation of others, but to learn to listen. Megan sees the same destructive tendencies in our current political discourse. Out-of-touch liberals, they're called, or racist, misogynist bullies, they're called. No nuance, no complexity, no humanity, just name-calling. And she's hopeful because she's learned that there's something that we can do about it, and that is that we have to be willing to listen and engage. She said it's extraordinarily simple, but incredibly hard to do because we have to talk and we have to listen. And she says she's learned 4 keys to making your enemies your friends. And those 4 are: 1, don't assume bad intent. In other words, don't assume that they're evil or that they're rotten or that they're trying to destroy you and your beliefs if they have a different point of view. Assume good intent, she says, or at least assume neutral intent. And if you can assume a neutral intent for your enemy, you might be able to have a decent conversation at some point. She said, ask questions. Ask questions about their beliefs. Ask questions about their thoughts. Ask questions about the things that are near and dear to their heart. This signals that they're being heard, and it begins a dialogue, she says. Number 3, stay calm, pause, and bring when things get heated and they're spiraling out of control and people are just flinging, the most hideous words at one another, stop, step back, and let the conversation bring itself back to an even keel. She actually ended up meeting her husband on social media. And they would argue. She said, our argues were passionate over Twitter. And she said, but he would never insult her. He would always try to lighten the mood with a joke, crack her up, or just completely change the subject. And she was impressed that he wasn't continually driving the point to drive her opinion right into the ground. So she said that point number 3, stay calm and pause so you can let the conversation come back to an even keel. 4, she says, make the argument. Don't disengage with thoughts like the value of your position should be so obvious to the other person that you're so right and they're so wrong that why should you explain it to them? No. She says it is your job to teach them. It is your job to show yourself, to tell them what you believe, to tell them what you think. In any discourse, particularly political discourse, you lay out your case clearly, you tell what you think, you wait for the response, and that's the only way to make a case for change, she says, is that you have to make your case. And she says this is how you put an end to the spiraling out of control of rage and blame, to see everyone as equal, to see everyone as a human being. The good news is that you can start with one person, and that one person is yourself. I thought that was a pretty spectacular. It was a TED Talk, and from let's see, a couple months ago, I think, but pretty phenomenal. I mean, this young lady went through a lot of stuff and found her way out of a very, very hostile organization. I mean, they're very hierarchical, top down. This is what we believe. This is the absolute truth. It's us against them. But, you know, we've kind of gotten that way in our culture. We're so divided. We're so opposed to a different opinion to the point that we won't even listen to it. Or instead of listening, we just name call. You know, it's funny because I've noticed that on Facebook a lot. I don't know if you're on Facebook, but every now and then I get on Facebook and people are still calling each other names. I mean, they're still going after the president with the vile names, and he's not doing any better himself. I mean, and it just creates this tension and this division. And oh, man, if you just read the Gospels, the way to peace, you know, that's why I'm saying if you want to be a revolutionary, I thought I was a revolutionary in high school. I was just a punk. But if you want to be a revolutionary in this world, if you want to stand against the culture with something proud and powerful, be a Christian. Because there's never been a society in the history of Christianity that has accepted them 100%, a full welcome, open arms. I mean, the first 300 years, it was a crime to be a Christian. And like I said last show, if you were found out to be a Christian in the first 300 years, you could easily end up being eaten by a lion, which is not the greatest thing in the world, I would suspect. And that's the whole point. Because what are you saying to people as a Christian? That you are willing to live a life of sacrifice. That you're willing to love your enemy. Love your enemy. Can you believe that we're called to do that? You've got to care for the person that you really want to argue with and you want to fight with and you want to prove them wrong at all costs. You've really got to love them, and not just love them in some detached, separate way. They've got to see it. They've got to know it. They've got to feel it. You know, you can't stand back in an ivory tower and say, oh, it's like Linus, the Peanuts cartoon. He said, I love humanity. It's just the people I can't stand. So, no, we can't stand back from our love of humanity. We have to engage them with that love, engage them with the truth, engage them with the goodness. And like St. Francis of Assisi said, at all times be preaching the gospel, but whenever necessary, use words. This is Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. We'll be right back.
NBC Talk Radio, 1050 AM.
Some combinations were just meant to go together. Chips and salsa, refrigerator and freezer, the internet, and those cute little cat videos. At State Farm, there's another combination meant to go together. Home and auto. As in combining your home and auto insurance with one agent. Which leads to another combination, saving dollars and cents. Your State Farm agent, the DeSalvo Insurance Agency, is here to help life go right. Combine home and auto and see how much you can save. For more information, call the DeSalvo Insurance Agency at 310-553-0241 in Beverly Hills, or find him on the web at BillDeSalvo.com. That's BillDisalvo.com.
Hi, this is Donald Carpenter. You know, I've written a pretty interesting book. It's called The Family Man's Stock Market Volatility Survival Guide, How to Defend Your Family in Any Economy. To pick up a copy of The Family Man's Stock Market Volatility Survival Guide, go to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or the website FamilyManSMVSG.com.
We want to share a secret with you. There's a new and revolutionary way to bring the Earth's most effective organic plant extracts directly to your skin in a pure and healthy way. Lule Botanicals utilizes a breakthrough process called supercritical plant extraction. Your skin will radiate vitality and health like never before. No one wants to kiss an alligator face. Now they won't have to. Visit us on the web at www.lulebotanicals.com. That's LULEIBOTANICALS.com. To get your 20% discount, use promo code LLB20.
Dr. Tatsuo Hirano asks, why suffer and ignore your pain and illness? Stop it before it gets out of control. Acupuncture is like fresh air, revitalizing your body and mind. Dr. Tatsuo Hirano, renowned acupuncturist to the stars and world-class performing artists, will help you get back to optimum health. To explore the healing arts of Oriental medicine, call Dr. Hirano at 818-244-2287. The first 20 callers will receive 10% off their first visit. Just say Donald Carpenter sent you.
Berndorf Law Offices, located in Los Angeles, is an employment, counseling, and litigation boutique law firm for California employers and executives. Employment laws change almost daily, and penalties for noncompliance are substantial. If you're an employer in Southern California and need assistance navigating the waters of employee relations, legal aspects of human resources management, or need defense against a lawsuit, our lawyers can help. Find us on the web at berndorflaw.com. That's BIRNDORFLAW.com. Or on Twitter at Law4CA Employers.
Donald Carpenter here. I'm the host of the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show Mondays at 3 o'clock. You know the number one reason married couples fight? Money. The number one lesson people wish they'd learn in school? Money. Listen, I've got over 20 years of experience in asset management and financial planning. Together, we can make the most of the money you make. We can take care of you and your family's finances. We can teach you how to build and strengthen a family financial fortress that can help protect you for years to come. We'll help you do it. Give me a call, 310-777-6777, and we'll help you manage these volatile markets and make better choices for your family's financial future. Call me, 310-777-6777, or shoot me an email, donald@f3assetmanagement.com. And don't forget to catch the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show Mondays at 3 o'clock on KCAA Radio. Donald Carpenter, Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. Oh, man, we're talking about trying to get along with people that they might be impossible to get along with, but probably it's because you started the fight. Oh, you got to back down and just, kind of roll with the punches. And that's the hard part about the whole union with God, because sometimes you're just walking in the dark, and you feel his hands upon your shoulder, and then sometimes you're like, do I really? And you're just walking in the dark sometimes. And you know what? It always turns out the way he wants it to turn out. And in my life, and I'm sure in yours too, that is usually way, way better than I ever thought it was going to be. My mom told me that would be the case. She said, your life would be phenomenal if you turn it over to Jesus. And she's right. I should have listened to her instead of being a punk kid in high school, but I had other ideas. But being a punk forced me to not be a punk because I didn't want to be a loser my whole life. So I had to straighten up. I had to learn some mathematics and took that all the way into calculus. So I did all right. Oh, hey, wow, we got to talk about some markets and some investing right now. Anything I say about markets and investing is presented for informational purposes only. The information I give is not a recommendation to buy or sell any security or investment. The information I give is not legal advice. The information I give is not tax advice. The information I give is not accounting advice. And it's not even investment advice. The information I give is for informational purposes only. All investments have risk. All investments can go up and down in price. You need to consult your own financial professional before investing. And if you want to consult me, you can call me and we'll talk about it then. 310-777-6777. I finally got the last 7 in there. Oh, brother. 310-777-6777. What happened last week? Oh, my goodness. The S&P 500 was up 3.5%. and it's up 4.2% year to date, and it's accelerating. The Nasdaq was up 4.2% last week, and it's up 9.5% year to date and accelerating. Russell 2000 was up 4.2% last week, and it's up 4% year to date, moving back to an accelerating position. Tech just surged. It closed the week at up 4.2%, and it's up 10.3% year to date. And we're just into March. Woo! Tech rocking it. Consumer discretionary was up another 3.1% last week, and it's up 7.7% year to date, and it's in an accelerating trend. Utilities, or anything that looks or acts like a bond, didn't do so well. Utilities were down, or they were only up 0.9% last week, and they're down 6.2%, negative 6.2% year to date, and they're still decelerating. But while the Nasdaq was up 4.2% on the week to 9.5% year to date, and it skyrocketed to another all-time closing high on Friday, and inflation appears to be slowing while growth is accelerating, there is still plenty of reason for caution because the volatility is still extremely high. And only the Nasdaq has reclaimed the highs of January. So while the markets are still, while they're doing pretty well right now, the S&P 500 hasn't reclaimed the highs of January, the Dow Jones Industrial Average hasn't reclaimed the highs of January, and the Russell 2000 hasn't reclaimed the highs of January. So here's what we know about market history, that tech always is at the top of the peak at the end of the cycle. So are we at the end of the cycle? Potentially we are. And that's why you got to be careful out there. You've always got to invest with caution. We've had a great run. Oh my goodness, 15 months of phenomenal economy, and we might be headed for, a little turn down. I'm not calling for anything dramatic. I'm just saying it might be a little slower because markets run in cycles. Dun, dun, dun. Markets run in cycles. They do. And we're at the top, so it can easily, give us a little bit of a pause. All right. So economic calendars. Let's see. Tomorrow we have the NFIB Small Business Optimism Index, Consumer Price Index, and Redbook. Wednesday, mortgage applications, producer price index, retail sales. Ooh, going to be a big day on Wednesday. Thursday, even bigger, jobless claims. How about the job number last week? Woo, right off the charts. That's a Goldilocks economy right there. So we got jobless claims coming on Thursday, Philadelphia Fed Business Outlook, Empire State Manufacturing, import-export prices, Bloomberg Consumer Confidence, Housing Market Index, EIA Natural Gas. Wow, big reporting day on Thursday. Friday, quadruple witching. Watch out. They used to make a big deal of that. It's not that big a deal of it anymore, especially with computer trading, so don't worry about it. They just put it up there because it sounds scary. Housing starts on Friday also, and industrial production, consumer sentiment, JOLTS, and the Baker Hughes rig count. And that's going to be our Friday. So, hey, I got a question for you. Do you have are you all prepared for a rainy day? Do you have your emergency fund completely established and set up and ready to go? Are you protecting your family financially, like I recommend in my book? Are you doing that? Are you taking care of everything? You got all the needs met? We used to say in financial planning that you needed 6 months of expenses, everything, rent, mortgage, car payments, insurance, health insurance, whatever it was, all of your expenses. You need to have 6 months set aside. But you know what? We have something now that's called a disaster premium that we have to look out for. And so now the recommendations are for 12 to 18 months of expenses to be set aside, just in case of an accident. You stub your toe, break your leg, get bit by a bee. Or maybe there's a natural disaster, or maybe, a horrible thing that happened in 9/11. You never know what's going to happen, and then you got to be prepared for it. So I always say, plan for the best, but prepare for the worst. And that's why I'm asking you, do you have your emergency fund all set aside and prepared? Are you ready for any disaster that befalls your family? Now, you got to do it. You got to be ready. You got to have you and your family well protected. I mean, it's extraordinarily important. And I've read articles where people argue against having an emergency fund. They're saying, oh, you're taking all that money out of the market and you're diminishing your returns. Well, nobody knows how markets are going to go. I mean, you can have an exogenous shock. In other words, a shock from the outside. I used to tell my clients, there's a couple of things that could go wrong. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good economy, but there's a couple of things that go wrong. I mean, like if little Kim Jong rocket boy sends a rocket, that's and it lands somewhere over here, that's going to roil these markets. Or if the volcano under Yellowstone decides to blow up, the big cauldron, that's going to cause a problem. And then one of my clients was like, "Oh yeah, there's always that," because I used to say it all the time. But it doesn't have to be so gigantically devastating. It could just be that you were on a ski trip and broke your leg. So you got to be prepared. You got to invest wisely. You have to be careful out there. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. You got to take care of your family. You got to live a life of sacrifice. You have to man up. I haven't said this in a while, but I still do this for my wife, and you better do it for yours. You got to make your wife a bubble bath. Take her out to dinner. I'm telling you guys, man, you do it once and she's going to pass out, and then you're going to have to do it a lot, huh? Maybe that's why you're holding back. But that's not living a life of sacrifice. You got to get out there, take care of that woman, take care of those kids, and love them with everything you've got. Jesus was born into a family, and it's no secret, and it's no accident. And so if being in a family was good enough for the God of the universe, I dare say it's good enough for me and you. God has a plan for your life. Genesis 1:27 through 28. God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth." Build a life of community. Live a life of sacrifice. Live a family life. And if you want to get yourself on the financial straight and narrow, give me a call, 310-777-6777, and we'll have a 10-minute conversation. We'll see whether or not a free financial planning session is right for you. And you know what? We'll take care of you and your family for years to come. So, this is Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. God bless you. We'll see you next week.